what quality is it that some people can affect so many? What quality do they have, specifically with John Malkovich, that his quirky style allows him to connect with so many?
Well, you know, John's a great actor. You know, you would normally think a photographer of my age might go get a, you know, as a muse, probably go get a 25-year-old blonde with big breasts. But unfortunately, I chose John to be my muse.
His breasts are rather large.
He does have man breasts. We won't tell you that, okay?
We maybe have a picture of that, actually.
Oh, do we?
We maybe have a picture of John Malkovich and man breasts. We'll see.
So, you know, with John I became friends with John about 17, 18 years ago. I started shooting for Steppenwolf Theater, and that's where we met. And I was doing some campaigns for them. John came into the studio one afternoon, and we did these really beautiful, rich, gutsy, raw black and whites of John. And John just really liked the way that, you know, that I worked with him. I mean, you know, it was a lot of respect, but I think he really loved the intensity that I put into my work, the passion that I put into my work. And the result of that was some really dynamic black and white portraits of him. And I think that kind of set the pace for me to have this long relationship with John. You know, it was at that point, whenever he'd come into Chicago, somehow we would connect, and we would call each other up, and we'd do another round of photography. And what was so interesting about working with John, he was this beautiful white canvas, and he let me paint on him. He let me do whatever I'd asked him to do, you know, and we have done some pretty strange things together. Photography-wise.
But he's such a normal person. How do you explain so?
Oh, yeah, it's so normal. But, you know, he's a brilliant man, and he's always been willing to go there. He doesn't walk in with a publicist that says, no, we can't do that. There's no way you could do that, John. He always walked in. He was very free. He's an artist himself, you know. Yes. And he's a chameleon. He's somebody who I could ask to be Marilyn Monroe. You know, he's somebody I could ask to be Saint Sebastian. Somebody I could ask to be Hemingway, you know, Migrant Mother. And he could go there. So it was really interesting to work with what I call a genius. Yes. And yes, he has become my muse.
I love your work, your portraits of Malkovich. He is one of those characters who is so sort of complex and is eccentric and very artistic soul.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite movies is Being John Malkovich, and it took a character like John to make a movie like that. You know, some other people who I could see would put in that category would be Christopher Walken.
Sure.
Matthew McConaughey.
Maybe
Rob Lowe.
Maybe Sean
a little
Penn.
bit. Sean Penn.
Maybe Sean
yes.
Penn.
Yeah.
But Malkovich is the epitome of someone like that.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a great muse.
It's so interesting that you say that, because, you know, I kind of feel the same way. So many people have asked me, well, did you ever think of using somebody else for this project? And for me, it was just like, no, I couldn't even think about using anybody else, you know, because, you know, I would have loved to work with Sean Penn, you know, Buscemi.
Steve
Buscemi. I would have loved to work with him.
Another one.
Yeah.
Very artistic soul as well.
Yeah.
Very kind and generous, too.
Yeah, I would have loved to work with him. But, you know, John, I kind of had a track record with him, and we had such a good vibe working with each other that I knew that John was going to, you know, I was asking for perfection. I mean, I couldn't get anything less than perfection. Otherwise, this could have been a debacle. You know, it could have been a really bad case of bad art. And so I needed somebody who was going to go there for me.
And he was so willing. For me, what's amazing is to see how acting can come alive in a photograph. So finally, we have some photographs from your exhibition behind you, and just to see how John really becomes these other characters, it's fantastic.
And what was really interesting about this, so John, what we'd do, we'd go into hair and makeup. And John would be in that chair for about 90 minutes, and I would put the original photograph on the mirror. So while he's working with his hair and makeup, you could see John up there start twitching, start moving in that chair, depending who the character was, okay?
And he morphs into
the character. He starts morphing into that character. Yeah. And then he'd walk out into the set, and say it was Marilyn Monroe, okay? When he came out to Marilyn Monroe and Bert Stern, they were in the Beaumont Hotel in California when they shot that beautiful shoot with Marilyn. You know, it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
They were shooting, they were drinking martinis. There was definitely a sexual energy going on between the two of them. And, you know, I've had lunch with Bert, and Bert never told me, did they go there? But you kind of get the feeling something happened. But I could just see Bert asking Marilyn to remove her top. You know, and so I'm talking this through, and John, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You and Bert are there alone. You've been drinking martinis, and you're starting to feel something for each other. And Bert asks you to take your top off. And all of a sudden, John just goes like this here. And he turned into Marilyn Monroe, and everybody just went, oh my gosh. I mean, he felt like he was Marilyn Monroe for that moment. And it was really beautiful. I mean, so I'm really testing John to go to a place that's very difficult for a man. But by him seeing these photographs and then talking about the scenario, he was able to go there.
Yes.
And we did this for every single shot.
What seems amazing to me with him in general, in both his films as well as in your photographies, is that he can get into that character so deeply, but at the same time remain so much John Malkovich.
So much John Malkovich.
And so clearly,
Yeah.
with that voice, whether it's through his eyes or his expression,
Yeah.
but you can never mistake him for anybody else.
It's interesting you say that, George, because, you know, I didn't want to take John Malkovich out of John Malkovich. You know, I wanted it still to be John Malkovich. You know, I didn't want it to be Marilyn Monroe. I just wanted him to play that character and just see how far we could push him. And,
Yes.
you know, I worked with a genius. He was a brilliant man, and it was such an incredible, incredible honor to work with somebody like that.